Welcome to QDIS Client Portal Training for Xiphon. To log into your portal, you're going to go to portal.xiphon.com at this link above. This link is also available in the initial setup email that you have received with your username and temporary password. Here you'll enter your username, which is your email address used to set up the account, and your password after you have done the initial reset. On this screen, you're going to choose Billing Errors. From this screen, you can choose which client ID you would like to look up. Here, you can either type the ID or use the search feature to search for various clients. To do so, you click the search button and you can type the client's name either partially or fully, or you may use the wildcard or asterisk to search for all clients that you have access to. You would click search, and this would pull up the list of appropriate clients. I am going to enter a client number that I know. And this will bring you to the Billing Errors tab that shows the client ID, the type of account. You can group your reports by patient name, patient ID, date of service, error code, or ordering physician. I suggest not grouping these as this will give you additional information. So I'm just going to click Get Errors. Here you'll see a list of all your errors that currently need additional information. They'll have a session ID, the date of service, patient name, patient date of birth or ID if applicable, and ordering physician. So you would just click the hyperlink in pink to open that accession to see what is missing. So this particular accession is missing ordering physician and subscriber ID. We see this here in the error field, and then we can also see additional details under the Details tab. If you see a plus sign at any time, you can click that plus sign and it will expand that area so you can see further description. So on the first one for ordering physician, it appears that we have the physician's name, but probably not their NPI. That's going to be the most common issue. So we're going to click the search glass, or we can also use the drop down if there are physicians already loaded. So the search engine can pull up physician by NPI, by first name and last name, and then you would simply click search. You can also use that wildcard and it will pull up all physicians that you have access to. So again, you could pick these below with these particular NPIs or use the search button to choose that physician. Now in this particular field, we're looking for the subscriber ID. So this was not provided to us, or we would have it under a current value. So in some cases, you may see that there is a current value, so you have possibly provided an ID that was insufficient. So we would then try to enter the patient's subscriber ID from their insurance card. And you'll see here if there's not enough characters or it doesn't meet the format of the specific payer on file. For example, this is a Medicare patient and needs 9 characters followed by 1 or 2 alpha characters. So I will then X out of here and correct that so that we can fix that information. Now at this time, I would click Save or Next if I wanted to save this information so that it would be removed from my error queue. In this case, I'm just going to hit Cancel as I'm not going to actually make these changes. So now to go to the next patient or any patient, again, you just click on that hyperlink and it will bring up the errors. Now on this particular one, it does look as though we are missing the insurance information entirely. In some cases, we might have had the insurance information on file, but it was incorrect, but there is no value there, so this information was missing. So we can click the search button to pull up various insurances. We're going to say that this patient has Aetna. We can just type that in the insurance company name and click search. This will then pop up all of our Aetna plans that we have loaded into Xiphon. And then we would just click the one that is appropriate for the patient. At this time, all of these fields would then need to be filled in. Patient name, date of birth, address, subscriber ID. Again, you will get an error if the subscriber ID does not match the Xiphon formatting for that payer. So once all of these asterisk fields are completed, you can click Save. I'm going to click Cancel, as we're not going to save this information. But you would just simply click Save. Now you'll see here where it says diagnosis code if it doesn't appear under diagnosis code provided. So we are missing the diagnosis code in addition to the insurance information. So we would click the hyperlink to enter diagnosis information. You can pop into this box here for diagnosis code. You can type the diagnosis code, or you can also use the search feature here to look for various diagnosis codes. So for this example, I'm just looking for something that states that the patient has some sort of exposure and using that wildcard there. And you will see that all of these various codes will come up. So I'm just going to pick any code that would be applicable, but I'm just using this one as an example. And you'll see one or more insurances for this accession requires diagnosis codes of highest specificity. So in this particular case, you would want to close this out and go back into that search and see if there is a diagnosis code with a higher level of specificity for the same condition or diagnosis. So I am going to click cancel, but if this was the appropriate diagnosis code, I would just click add. And then once these two errors are done, I could click save and next or simply save. And at this time, these errors should then not be on this particular screen. So if I have corrected all of these, they would no longer be there. What may happen though is entering the information is if you've entered something incorrectly, it will come back onto your error screen. So we'll take a look at this one. So now this one is pretty straightforward as well. Again, we're going to enter the diagnosis code. We're going to use that search if we need to, and then enter that diagnosis code in the field, click add, and you are done with that particular one. Then you have missing patient's date of birth. So this does happen from time to time. So you would just enter the patient's date of birth, or you can use the calendar. It's a little bit easier to enter it since the calendar would then have to go back many years, but it's also available to use. And then you could enter the subscriber ID like we did in the other fields. So if I was done with this and I've corrected all my errors, I can just click save or save and next. But I am just going to cancel out in this case. So what you might find as well when clicking on some of these is that Xiphon does have specific engines that go through and check eligibility. So in this particular case, on this accession, we did receive the Blue Cross Blue Shield New York insurance information, but the eligibility has been denied. So we are looking for a different ID number or something more specific. So they're not stating that the patient doesn't have coverage, but that the coverage information provided was incorrect. So that's that current value here. So I would just double check what the patient's ID was on their insurance card in the chart and enter that information. And then for the date of birth, again, just entering the date of birth or using the calendar. Then it is just save or save and next, and you're done. There are some times where you may pop into a session and there's nothing there. There's nothing to correct. So in those particular cases, you would just skip those. If you are a client of Acutus, you can just simply disregard those particular ones. If you are one of our internal reps, please reach out to our teams internally and we can see if that is an actual error that just needs to be corrected on our end. So again, if you see something and you open it and there are no errors in either spot, you can generally just ignore those for the time being and we can go back in and correct them as needed. Another piece of information that you might see from time to time that will pop up is that we are requesting physician notes or that the insurance company is requesting physician notes. In this case, Xiphon Portal does have a documents tab. At this time, we have not set this up for you to be able to upload those documents. We will be doing that in the future. But in the meantime, what we would like is if you could send that to the missing information email. So that's missinginformation@acutus.com. We prefer that you do encrypt the email since there will be PHI, or you can send that to us via fax, or you can provide it to your Acutus rep and they will provide that to our billing team. Those will stay on your error queue for probably 30 to 60 days, depending on how long it takes for the insurance company to review those records. And it's more just of a notification that we're looking for those from you. So I believe that is all we have for this particular training today. We certainly will have some more trainings in the future on the documents tab, as well as client invoices for anybody that we are in agreement for client bill. So certainly I appreciate everyone's time today and just wanted to share. If you have any questions, please reach out to your Acutus rep with those questions. If you're having issues with access to your client portal, you can contact service@acutus.com. We do ask that you put Xiphon Portal Access in that subject line so that this goes to the appropriate area. If you're sending in missing billing information that is not able to be placed onto the Xiphon portal, you can still send that to missinginformation@acutus.com. And again, always, if you have patient-specific billing questions, you can contact your Acutus rep or billing@acutus.com, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.